On your left-hand side, you see there's 4 figures, represent 4 stages of life, from childhood to senior age.
The senior one is rusting.
And here is the downtown of Rotterdam. That's where most people live. There are shops and restaurants there. And also coming up on your left-hand side is actually the harbor, where people swim in summer but also in winter. And winter bathing is quite popular here. It's cold but it's clean, so it's safe for you, because the city monitors the quality of water. So Copenhagen actually won the cleanest city to swim in Europe a few times. And it's not unusual that when it's cold, people actually skinny dip. Yesterday we had a tour right in downtown Copenhagen. People were like, oh, naked people. Yeah, it happens sometimes. In Denmark, the attitude to nudity is a bit different. It's just the body. On the left-hand side, another cruise ship. This is a mini cruise that a lot of people take to Oslo.
Mira, entonces si vienes por barco, te dan un tour de ahí.
So, as I said, in Copenhagen, majority of people don't own cars. In the outskirts, like where the private houses are, it makes more sense to get one. But still, many people, instead of buying a car, actually lease a car. So here, to lease a car, you have to pay. Usually, people lease yearly, and you have to pay about $500 per month to have one.
Wow.
But if you can avoid it, and if you live in downtown, it's always nicer to bike. And people bike here in any weather. We say there is no bad weather, there is bad clothing. So people do not cancel plans in Denmark because of bad weather, because otherwise you just have to stay home all the time. You may pay attention that there are lots of interior design stores in Copenhagen, actually way more than clothes stores. And that is because Danes are quite good at design.
Que manda, había una estatua de los Estados Unidos.
So how do you like your GoPro?
Oh,
How do you like your GoPro?
oh, it's good.
It doesn't freeze on you?
No,
No?
unless you put it long time. Like people, you know, like they like to record overnight or something like that. But mine is okay. This is new.
New one?
I had an old one. This has more feature. Yeah, and the good thing is that it takes like it's an how do you call that? It's an eye thing that you can grab everything because it doesn't have like to go, you know, far or close. It grabs everything around.
That's nice.
It's an eye bird.
Eye bird.
Yeah.
Bird's eye, bird's eye.
Oh, bird's eye. Yeah.
Why don't you go on the sidewalk? Walk on the sidewalk. Come on, you can walk on the sidewalk. Got it? Oye, qué bien te queda la bolsa esa. ¿Quién te dio la bolsa esa? Qué bien te queda la bolsa esa. Mira, aquí. So take out like this.
Sí, ya lo hice para allá.
you can talk and tell them this is where the king and the queen host all the dignitaries. This is where the Obama stayed, where the Clinton stayed, where the Biden stayed. And this is...
Dice to go ahead and take pictures. Pero ella explicó eso. Dice que el escultor, the guard, yeah. Regina, ven.
There's a little store here on the left que tienen souvenirs. Si quieren comprar souvenirs. When do you have to be back?
10 minutes right here. Mira, dice que
Okay, I'm gonna walk over there and come back.
Esta cultura terminó de construirse después que el rey murió.
Okay, go ahead. Go fast.
Okay, you gonna wait for me here? You're gonna walk with me so you can take a picture.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, so they live in another castle, and every day they march for 30 minutes from there to Amalienborg. And that's what all those people at the square were waiting for. Oh, they're young, yes. They're like 18, 19. No. Like can become royal guards, so it's not only for men.
You guys brought a map, right?
We're gonna get out. Yeah.
So we started talking with the one guest about that the royal family actually has quite high approval rated here. People love them, but also they kind of do not annoy people with luxury. They're considered a rather modest royal family if you compare them to, let's say, Brits. If you compare the budget, Danish royal family in 2022 spent $22 million, while British royal family spent $107 million.
Needed on behalf of Captain Mark and myself, my name is Frank. Welcome on board. This is a 1-hour tour, and we will return to Nyhavn. På vegne af mig selv, mit navn er Frank, og kaptajn Mark, velkommen ombord. Det er en entimes tur, og vi vender selvfølgelig tilbage til Nyhavn, når vi er færdige. So here comes the first bridge. So please stay seated, be very careful, and please look forward, man. Please look forward as we pass the bridges. Kommer om broen, og vi sætter os ned. Mange tak. Thank you very much. Do we try to touch the bridge, please? And this is not even bad. You should see where the water is all the time. In between the bridges, you're free to walk around and stand up, no problem. And I will warn you as we get to the bridges. Now we're passing down Nyhavn. Nyhavn is one of the many canals running to and from the main harbor. This one in particular, Nyhavn means new harbor, built in 1670s, only 350 years old, and it was dug out by Danish soldiers and Swedish prisoners of war. The purpose was to allow merchant ships to get as close to the market square downtown Copenhagen as possible. Nu så er der videre Nyhavn, og Nyhavn er en af mange kanaler, der leder til og fra selve havnen. Den blev bygget i 1670'erne af danske soldater og svenske krigsfanger. Og formålet med den var, at handelsskibe kunne komme så tæt ind til markedspladserne i den centrale by som overhovedet muligt. So now we're coming out to the Copenhagen harbor. But the Copenhagen harbor is not a harbor in the traditional sense. It's more like a strait between two islands. Zealand, the main island, is where we're coming from, and on the opposite side you see Amager, which is a smaller island, and the airport is around 12 kilometers south from here. It goes 10 kilometers the straight north-south. South is on your right-hand side, left is on your north, and you can only get in and out of the harbor up north, unless you're in a canoe or something. Københavns havn er jo ikke en havn i traditionel forstand, det er mere et stræde mellem to øer. Vi har Sjælland bagved jer, og vi har Amager og Christianshavn på den modsatte side. Og strædet det løber sådan cirka, eller sundet løber cirka 10 km ned fra Sydhavnen op til Nordhavnen i den anden ende. Now on your left hand side you have the Royal Playhouse. Now back in Nyhavn at the end of Kongens Nytorv we have the old Royal Theatre, where you used to have all theatre, opera, ballet combined in one old house. Now you have the theater musical here, and you have the opera in front of us. I gamle dage havde vi alting samlet på Det Kongelige Teater inden for Kongens Lysår, helt tilbage på 1740'erne. Men på det seneste så har vi jo fået separeret nogle af de andre ting ud, med teater og musical her i Skuespilhuset, og så har vi Operahuset foran os. The first performance at the Royal Playhouse back in 2008 was, of course, Hamlet by Shakespeare. Hamlet takes place at the Kronborg Castle, and the Kronborg Castle is 40 kilometers up the coast on your left-hand side in the cute little town Elsinore. You can get there 1 hour by train. It's a wonderful place on a sunny day. We have lots of those here. Og i Skuespilhuset var den første forestilling, det var Hamlet. Og den foregår jo på Kronborg og i Helsingør. So in front of us you have the Royal Opera House, funded by the Maersk family from the Maersk shipping line. They paid for this and many other things in Copenhagen. On the right hand side, beyond the yellow buoys, this is Navy. All of this used to belong to the Navy, but they moved out bit by bit as they relocated to other parts of Denmark. In here you see, this is more like a museum area. You see the submarine on land, the black submarine in front of the trees. That's Sailing the Seal. That's the last submarine Danish service, decommissioned in 2004. And the last mission took it to the Arabian Gulf as part of the blockade against Iraq. It's a museum now. You can get inside. It's really cool, guys. Now the grey vessel right here, F352, that is the frigate Peter Skram, and that was the flagship in the Danish Navy during the Cold War. It was decommissioned a few years later, and now that's also a museum. On your right hand side now here, you see the Royal Yacht coming up. It just came back here from the North Atlantic just overnight. It wasn't here yesterday. This is one of the oldest royal yachts in the world, and this time of year the royal family go on a cruise to the Navy today, these houses, and you see a bastion in the green area, and you see on the left hand side next to the flag you see some cannons. These are mutton cannons, but we've had cannons out there for centuries, and a cannon was being fired every morning at sunrise and again at sunset. The point being was to advise captains on the ships in the harbor that it was time to raise the flag or lower the flag. Now eventually, as the Navy moved out from this area, people moved in and live in this area now. And as you know, this time of year, sunrise here is 4:30. So people living here did not really like the cannons being fired off at 4:30 in the morning. So some time back it was decided that sunrise in Copenhagen is always 8 o'clock any time of year. That's Danish pragmatism for you. In 1913, Carl Jacobsen, the son of the founder of the townspeople, he went to the ballet and he liked it so much that he had a Danish artist make that little sculpture sitting over there to this very day. She's had a very rough life. She's been decapitated twice. She had an arm cut off and she's been spray painted many times. But every time magically the head pops back up and the arm grows out overnight, and 111 years later she's still sitting there looking beautiful. And believe me, it's cold here on the winter night. She's a tough little lady. I have some friends who used to live in Shanghai, China, and they came to visit me in 2010. And of course the first thing they wanted to do was to go see the Little Mermaid. So I took them to see the Little Mermaid, but there was no Little Mermaid. Now the last 40-50 years it has turned into something completely different. It's a very attractive place to live. You're sort of downtown Copenhagen and yet you're sort of a simple place. As we pass down here and take a right hand turn onto the bicycle bridge, we come down a long canal about 1 kilometer, and you'll see it looks a little bit like Amsterdam with houseboats and the nice old houses. As we pass down this canal, I'm not allowed to use the microphone. This is also a residential area, so they don't like all the noise. So I will be sitting down, but if any of you have any questions, just raise your hand and I'll see if I can come and answer these questions. to a low bridge, but also note right after we pass the bridge up on your left-hand side, you see the top of the church, or Savior's Church, and a tower where you can walk all the way up to the very top on the outside. So Mark will slow down a little bit after the... Careful with the camera, sir. Excuse me, careful with the camera. Lige efter broen, der har vi vores frelserkirke op på venstre hånd. Og Mark han sætter fart lidt ned, og så har I mulighed for at tage billeder. Den er lige op på venstre hånd bagefter. 400 steps to the very top. 400 skridt op til toppen af kirken. If anybody wants to go, we'll wait for you here. 5 minutes. The first 250 are inside the church, and the last 150 are outside. Also note this tree. This tree on the left-hand side is a very, very special tree. Bemærk det træ, vi har lige på venstre hånd her. It's the most photographed tree in Copenhagen. When our captions go a little too fast, hundreds of photos of this tree. Træet det bliver fotograferet meget, meget ofte, fordi når vi har kaptajner, der har travlt, så kommer de fleste gæster til at tage billeder af træet i stedet for kirken. As we pass one of my favorite restaurants in Copenhagen on the right hand side, we're also coming up to a very low bridge. Nu passerer vi en dejlig restaurant på højre hånd, og så kommer vi til en meget lav bro. Please look forward here, guys. This is a very low bridge. Be careful with you. Her har vi en meget, meget skarp højre sving. Nu skal I virkelig se, hvad kaptajn Mark han kan. I think I forgot you. This is Captain Mark's first day at the office here. So a big hand for Captain Mark, huh? He did. If you were here 700-800 years ago, looking to your right-hand side, you would have seen a few small, very flat islands, and then just water, and then Amager way out in the distance. On the other side here, though, you would see this is mainland Zealand. This area is called Gammel Strand, the old beach, and that's indeed what it was. If you were sitting here on this beach 600, 700, 800 years ago, you would just see water pretty much on the side and nothing else. Hard to believe. If you look a little bit up on the left-hand side, you see quite a number of fish restaurants. And that's because this used to be the fish market. The men came in from Øresund here with the fish, and the women would sell the fish. There would be hundreds of ladies here selling fish. So nowadays you only have the fish restaurants left. Everything else is gone. And there's a sculpture over by the metro station. The last one stopped here in 2008. So here we're coming up to the circle bridge, kommer vi op til Cirkelbroen, and then we're back out in the harbor again. And here we have the bicycle path all around the harbor, up and down on both sides. It passes over here. Og cykelsti hele vejen rundt om havnen, der passerer heroppe på. Okay, so in front of you, you have the Black Diamond. The black diamond is the part of the Royal Library. And you see it's made out of glass and black marble. It's tilted slightly towards the harbor. So when you have the sun here and the water and you have the building, depending on your angle, then the whole thing sort of sparkles, hence the name. On the opposite side you have the National Bank of Denmark, quite a different style of building, designed by Arne Jacobsen. Det er Nationalbanken, der ligger over på venstre hånd, og den er designet af Arne Jacobsen. On your right hand side you have a kayak bar, very famous spot on a nice summer day. Spent about half of my youth over there. You can rent kayaks, and then you get some big green buckets, and if you collect garbage and stuff from the harbor, you get it for free. So now we are back into the main harbor, taking a left-hand turn down towards Nyhavn. And this is Knippelsbro, one of two of the old-fashioned bridges for cars. And then we have 3 bridges for only bicycles and pedestrians, one of them coming up a little bit from here. You look behind you underneath Knippelsbro, you can also see one of the 2 other bicycle bridges crossing over. In Copenhagen, about 1/3 of everybody here use a bicycle on a day-to-day basis. I think it's only Amsterdam and Utrecht with more people biking than us. It's by far the easiest way to get around downtown Copenhagen. It's very flat, a lot of bicycle lanes, and then of course we have the metro, and you can bring bicycles on all the trains here. Makes it very easy. On the left hand side we have a low green building coming up. This used to be the customs house, and later on this was a terminal for the ferries going to Malmö in Sweden, 20 kilometers east of here. The big car ferries took off further south. But I remember as a kid my grandma would take me here. It was like a 1-hour ride to Sweden. Great ice cream, and then back again. Of course, the last 25 years after the bridge to Sweden was completed, no need for ferries anymore, so now it's a fancy restaurant. You see an old warehouse with 4 flags in front of it over here, and I bet most of our foreign guests do not know the flags, and they're difficult to see today. From the left it's Icelandic, the Danish, the Faroe Islands and the Greenlandic flag. And the last 2 ones very few people know, even in Denmark. That's because this warehouse was used for goods going to and from the North Atlantic Islands back several hundred years. Now this house still has a lot of connections to the North Atlantic, including Icelandic embassy. Iceland became independent in 1944. This bicycle pedestrian street on top of us has another really interesting story. When they built it back, well, about 12 years ago or so, there was a design fault, so it did not meet up in the middle. So they had to redo the whole half of it before it connected in the middle. That was very embarrassing. So now we are passing back into Nyhavn, where we came from. Hans Christian Andersen lived in 3 different places in Nyhavn for a total of something like 20 years of his life. The reason why he lived here was because he loved everything that took place at the Royal Theatre down at the end of Kongens Nytorv on the left hand side. So he lived in 3 different houses. The first one, the white one on the right hand side, number 3, and then in 2 other houses after we passed the bridge. He loved everything about the Royal Theatre, and apparently he also had ambitions of becoming an actor at some point. That didn't work out for him, but then writing fairy tales worked out pretty well for him instead. And sometimes people ask me afterwards how to get to Refn across. One good spot is to walk down here. We end up at the end, and you just walk around all the way down to this round terminal here, and then you can take the havnebusser, and you can go pretty close to where Refn is if you want to do that. People often ask me that question. So these are 2 lines, one passing north and south, and you can just stay on one and you go all the way up north, and they crisscross back and forth, and you can go on this all day, back and forth and back and forth. because it's kind of difficult with public transportation to get up to Reffen. It's sort of all the way around. So the easiest way to take one of these boats. Also, if any of you have any any more questions, I will be here by the side as you disembark, and any questions regarding this tour or anything related to Copenhagen. Nothing about your Nordic kids or your wife, please. Når vi kommer ned til enden her, hvis der er nogen, der har nogle spørgsmål, så er I bare stillet mig de spørgsmål, I kan omkring København og turen, så skal jeg se, om jeg kan hjælpe jer. So on that note, on behalf of Captain Mark and myself, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you had an interesting hour, and I hope you're going to have a wonderful afternoon in Copenhagen. Thank you very much. Til vores danske gæster også, mange tak for det, I sejlede med i dag. Vi håber, I har en god time, og I vil nyde København i her eftermiddag. Så mange tak, og have en rigtig god dag.
Yo la cogía, no porque de eso, la cogíamos por pasear. Íbamos hasta Regla para coger la lanchita para cruzar la bahía. La lanchita Regla. Y había un chamaco, para mí, cuando llegamos a La Habana, había un chamaco que en la lanchita Regla se tiraba en el agua. Y ¿sabes qué es lo que hacía? Para que la gente le tiraran una peseta y él la buceaba y se quedaba con la peseta. Entonces la gente se la tiraba para
la bahía esa estaba una de las bahías más contaminadas.
Parece un pájaro ahí,
Mira cómo tiene la florecita en los balcones.
Sí, mira,
Fíjate que el edificio es como pre-construction,
Sí.
Es de concreto, es como de preconstrucción, como de las casas.
Fabricado.
Hacía falta que no vaya.
Esa es la ambulancia. La ambulancia usa luces azules igual que la policía, porque es first responder. Aquí usan azul para todo.
Sí, esta sí.
Ahí va la jara.
Ay, mira qué bonito está eso.
Yo lo que sí que estaba preocupado aquí.
El camión de Andrew tiene luces azul y rojo y amarillo.
Mira los carros esos chocados, mira.
Son los rusos de Ucrania.
Yo lo que estaba preocupado era que yo venía siguiendo la noticia. Yo seguía siguiendo la noticia, lo que estaba preocupado era por las manifestaciones que habían en. Híjole, yo nací mudo. Cada vez que tú me haces eso, mira, si tú sabes cómo me ponen los nervios de punta.
Mira, hi.
Modern technology.
Y eso debe ser un restaurante allá arriba.
¿Tú crees?
Un mirador.
Un mirador. Bueno, a lo mejor tiene un restaurante también porque...
Eso es mucho
Parece una torre de un aeropuerto.
Parece que se va a dar más cerca.
Como en Miami, el único lugar que hicieron una torre.
Esto dice family house, o debe ser apartamento de familia.
De la gasolinera eso, cerrada, está cerrada.
Esto es un colegio.
SSO, eso, en vez de ¿cuál es la que yo tenía la tarjeta? La Exxon, es la que yo tenía.
Yo lo que quiero es un tren, que todavía no he visto.
Yo vi los subterráneos.
Hay otra línea.
Vamos para el túnel ahora.
Que le pregunte a Julia que ella sabe.
Te digo,
No se lo va a preguntar.
esta gente que yo...
Para que me enseñe. Yo quiero escribir los steps para yo saber qué es lo que voy a hacer.
Que por qué ellos estaban en la máquina, aparte de que eso no los holandeses dicen no, porque en el helado ellos, en el helado son...
Kinderen gewoon naar binnen gaan. Gaan met kinderen gewoon een keertje naar binnen gaan. Gewoon lekker komt wel naar binnen.
Ellos tenían la planta de helado completa de helado.